Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Woodland Park United Methodist Church. My name's Willie. I work here. Whether you have joined us in the sanctuary or you are joining us online, we are happy to see you. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're a part of our community. So I don't know about you, but Tom could do that for an hour, and I would still feel like I've been to church. Like, so good. So good. We are so privileged to have such good music in this church. And that doesn't stop with Tom. We got a great choir. We have good guitarists. We have good singers. We have a good drummer back here. We have me playing a drum. I am not a drummer, but but I do enjoy playing the drum. I remember banging on a djembe in Africa, and one of the African men saying to me, "You are not a good from here drummer." And I'm like, I am aware. I am very aware. I drum enough to know when I'm in the presence of someone who can really play. Kind of the same way I am with guitar. Anyway, we have such good music in this congregation. I just love it. Thank you so much for that.
David says, epic improvs on precious Lord.
Epic improvs, yes.
It's a new discovery actually for me. All those, the half notes and all the blue notes. Mm-hmm. It's kind of new to me. I've just taken to it.
Well, you're already wearing it well. It's good. Well, we are a church. We celebrate our life in community, and one of the ways we celebrate life in community together is at the beginning of the service, we just shake each other's hands and say, "Peace of Christ to you," and pass the peace to one another, and share some affection among the congregation. So let us pass the peace this morning.
Trey already did that for me earlier. For everyone born.
Oh, celebrating life and community together, that is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. We were just talking earlier this morning. Do you find community in this church? And I got to say that I do. I find community in this congregation with these people. These folks, we tolerate each other well. We love each other well. And we appreciate each other well. We really do. And we can be honest with each other. And we can have conflict and manage and resolve conflict. And we can do all those hard things that adults have to do in community and come out on the other side knowing that we love each other. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So that makes me really happy. Let's share our thought for the day. Here's a thought for the day. I like this one. Negativity is contagious. Let's just start there. Negativity is contagious. Have you ever found that? You found that in the workplace before? Oh, yeah. All it takes is one grumpy person to just kind of get everybody wound up. Unhappiness is contagious. Fear is contagious. But so is happiness. So is optimism. So is love. Surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you, and strive to be a reflection of what you want to receive. Strive to be a reflection of what you want to receive. Does that remind you of any scripture passages that hold do unto others as you would have them do unto you? Huh? Strive to be a reflection of what you would like to receive. Strive to be a reflection of love and grace and compassion and kindness, happiness, optimism. It's not always easy, but it is good. All right, so while we let these thoughts marinate in our heads, let's join together in our call to worship. Come, all who are weary with grudges, guilt, or grief.
We come seeking rest for our souls and healing for our hearts.
Come, all who are longing for a new beginning.
We come ready to receive God's mercy, wider than the sea.
Come, all who would follow Jesus, who offers grace sufficient for every need. And let us join in singing A Place at the Table for Everyone Born. What a great song. We don't sing this one often enough. Let's do this. Let's stand up and sing this one together.
For everyone born a place at the table, for everyone born clean water and bread, a shelter, a space, a safe place for growing, for everyone born a star overhead, and God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy. For woman and man a place at the table, for visit the roles, deciding the share, with wisdom and grace, dividing the powers, for everyone born a system that's fair, and God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy. For young and for old, a place at the table, revisiting part in the song. The hands of a child, the hands that are wrinkled, for young and for old, the right way belong. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice, justice and joy. For just and unjust a place at the table, abuser abused with need to forgive. In anger, in hurt, a mindset of mercy for young and young, a new way to live, and God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. For everyone born a place at the table, to live without fear and simply to be, to work and worship. For everyone born the right be free, and God will delight when joy, yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy.
Wonderful. Let's remain standing if you are comfortably able. It is completely optional. You are not required to stand, but if you would like to stand during our prayer, you may. Let's join together in one voice. Eternal God, the refuge and help of all your children, we praise you for all you have given us, for all you have done for us, and for all that you are to us. In our weakness, you are strength. In our darkness, you are light. In our sorrow, you are comfort and peace. We cannot number your blessings. We cannot declare your love. For all your blessings, we bless you. May we live as in your presence and love the things that you love, and serve you in our daily lives, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Jesus, we are here. Jesus, we are here. Jesus, we are here. We are here for you. Jesus, we are here. Jesus, we are here. Jesus, we are here. We are here for you.
You may be seated. Let's move out of the Gospel of Matthew for a week, shall we? Colossians chapter 3, verses 12 through 17, and this is the Common English Bible translation. Therefore, as God's choice, holy and loved, put on compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Be tolerant with each other, and if someone has a complaint against anyone, forgive each other. As the Lord forgave you, so also forgive each other. And over all these things put on love, which is the perfect bond of unity. The peace of Christ must control your hearts, a peace into which you were called in one body. And be thankful people. The word of Christ must live in you richly. Teach and warn others with all wisdom by singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. Sing to God with gratitude in your hearts. Whatever you do, whether in speech or action, do it all in the name of Jesus and give thanks to God through him. Holy wisdom, holy word,
Thanks be to God. Jesus, we are here. Jesus, we are here. Jesus, we are here. We are here for you.
So several years ago, back when the Earth's crust was still warm and dinosaurs still roamed the land, and I was in seminary, I took a class, an entire semester on forgiveness. Read a handful of books, and we discussed forgiveness at length. And one of the books that we had to read was written by one of our United Methodist bishops at the time. And the center point, the central thesis of his book is that we forgive incarnationally. We forgive by embodying who God is and what God does. And the big thing about forgiveness that this bishop asserted was that forgiveness is not just something that God does, it's who God is. It's not just something that God does, it's who God is. It's what God is. Now that's a big assertion, and there's a lot to unpack in there. But let's talk about me for a minute. We don't talk about me enough. I'm a person who plays the guitar. You hadn't noticed. I haven't been playing guitar in church as much as I should, or as much as I actually want to. Why? That's a very good question, Steve. It really is. I'm going to start. I'm going to designate one of my guitars to just live here, so that. Well, listen to that smattering of applause. They're not booing, they're chanting, Willie. I'm a person who enjoys playing the guitar, but I would not call myself a guitarist. I'm a guitar player. I play at it. I play the guitar. It's fun for me. I don't work at it. Guitarists work at it. A real guitarist, in my definition, this is just in my brain, a real guitarist knows how to read music, understands some core tenets of music theory and how these things work, how different modes have different scales to them. Once you throw in this flatted ninth, then you've switched to a different mode. Tom could probably tell me something about what I just said, but either that doesn't exist or he knows what it is. Anyway, there's this bed of knowledge and this commitment to the discipline and all of this work that goes into it, and a real guitarist knows this stuff. Maybe not to an expert level, but certainly to a level that's higher than mine. I play the guitar. Being that kind of musician, that's beyond anything that I want to commit to. There's a t-shirt that I probably should own that says, I don't play guitar because I'm good at it. I play guitar because I like it. And that is more me. I kind of play at it. But it is a part of who I am. It is a part of who I am. If I lost my ability tomorrow to play the guitar, my grief process would be profound. If my thumb were in such bad condition that I just couldn't fret the strings anymore, I'd be one hurting tomato, is what I would be. It's a part of who I am. And if you want to understand who I am, you might kind of need to understand my relationship with music, my relationship with the guitar, my relationship with the instrument, my relationship with songwriting, my relationship with appreciation of good songwriting, my appreciation for multiple genres of music. It's part of who I am. My faith is a part of who I am. I dedicated an awful lot of time, an awful lot of energy, an awful lot of money into getting a theological education because it's important to me. This was important to me. And if you want to understand who I am, you kind of have to understand that about me. If we want to understand who or what God is, we need to understand forgiveness, not just as a thing that God plays at, not just as a thing that God has skill at, but as a core function of who or what God is. Now, we've been talking about forgiveness for 3 weeks, and this is our 4th week. And I want this to be more of a discussion, but I'm going to lay out some parameters here. Because earlier in the week, there was a very, very public act of forgiveness that took place. If you watch the news, you know that at the memorial service, Charlie Kirk's widow stood up in front of God and everybody and said that she forgives the man who killed her husband. Now, I don't want to go into Charlie Kirk's politics. I don't want to go into Charlie Kirk's theology. I don't want to go into praising or criticizing the man. I don't want to go into praising or criticizing Erica Kirk, his widow. I just want to hold up this public act of forgiveness. What was your emotional reaction to it, particularly with us talking about forgiveness for 3 weeks leading up to that? What were your thoughts when you heard someone forgive somebody verbally and publicly for such a heinous and a terrible act and the loss of her husband, her spouse? What were your thoughts?
Took a very strong woman.
It took a very strong person, a very strong woman to stand up and say that. I agree. That took some strength. Soren. We've seen it before. We've seen a similar act in the Charleston shooting. Yes.
Sorry, we've seen it before, where the Charleston shooting forgave Dylan Roof for shooting people in their church. And yeah, and the Amish school as well.
And the Amish school, yes.
It's something that at the time of the Charleston shooting was seen in, forgiveness was seen by folks in ways that was racialized, that it's something that black people have to do, or minority communities have to do because they have less power in society, and it's a way of mollifying the rage, right? And to see this on the other side, maybe, maybe, and I'm not sure the best way to say this, but maybe other people will wake up to the idea that, at least in terms of faith, if you profess any form of Christianity at all, even if it's the worst form of Christian nationalism, that forgiveness transcends the divisions that exist within the church, and that there is, in some sense, a universal language of forgiveness within the church, irrespective of other differences that we might have.
Wow. This got deeply philosophical and theological fast. It did. Thank you for sharing that, Soren. That was fantastic. Yeah. Who decides when forgiveness is necessary? I mean, that's a huge part of the question.
I kind of think it's kind of saying to the people around her, stop dwelling on this subject and stop, giving him all the attention. It says, get over it already. Let's move on and, just move on from what the tragedy. We have the tragedy, but we don't have to dwell on the guy or circumstances.
All right. Well, what was sermon 1? What was my first sermon on forgiveness? What was the key point? We remember? That forgiveness is a process, not an event. So if we keep that idea in mind, what do we make of this public act of forgiveness?
I don't know about that, but what I felt was her real sincerity on her part, that she really cared about the perpetrator and the other young men that her group was serving. Just the utter sincerity, that's what struck me.
It was deeply moving. It was deeply emotional.
I also thought about, I think it was the second sermon, that lack of forgiveness has a real cost.
Lack of forgiveness has a cost.
And that
Yes.
she was not going to put herself into suffering more by holding on to hatred.
Yes, that is a beautiful insight. Thank you. That is a beautiful insight.
To me, it was just a matter of her being a leader, of
Claiming
showing a
some
way
leadership.
for everyone that was there at that event and that around the world saw it. She was a leader.
And not just claiming leadership, but claiming a particular kind of leadership. Doesn't it feel like that public proclamation of forgiveness was an attempt to bring some healing to the situation broader than herself? Right?
For everyone.
Like this public act of forgiveness, I think she was probably hoping would bring some healing to the whole situation and to everybody who's affected by this, and not just for herself. Beautiful, beautiful, interesting piece of leadership. With it being a process and not an event, could her forgiveness be complete at this point? I don't think so. I don't think that she is at a point of complete and total forgiveness. She's probably still hurt and probably still very angry and probably got a lot of stuff, but I would suspect that something in her knows, because her words were, I forgive him because Jesus forgives, and so I'm supposed to do that too. Something to that effect. I forgive him because Jesus did. Doesn't it feel almost aspirational, like I am entering into the process of forgiveness rather than allowing myself, like Carol said, to go down the road of unforgiveness that is costly and expensive, both to myself and to the community. Something great in that. Corrine?
Maybe the words you just said would allow me to feel more gracious towards her, but I felt it was just good acting. I really didn't think it was sincere. I felt that she was just an actress. The way in which her eyes went up, and her eyes filled with contacts in a glorious color, then went down. I felt she was just acting. But possibly she knew that the words needed to be said upon the corporation, and it was a good note. I don't know, it just didn't feel sincere. It felt like it was the right moment, that they were the words that needed to be said to keep the momentum going, but it wasn't the same as was at not Charlottesville, but at in South Carolina. It was it was different. It wasn't the forgiveness that you want us to be talking about today.
Well, I don't necessarily want us to be speculating over whether it was a performative act.
But it did feel that way to me, so it wasn't the nature of forgiveness that I think you would like us to talk about. However, I'm not with everybody, but I am getting uncomfortable because I'm not with everybody else
okay.
in terms of how you responded. I just sat there going, wow, I'm really uncomfortable with what she is saying. I'm very uncomfortable. So
And that is a legitimately valid emotional reaction.
So I would say forgiveness, and which gave great comfort to people. Maybe what you just said, those were words that needed to be, forgiveness needs to be offered in this time. And even though her words were extended in a way that maybe I wasn't trusting, it still needed to be said. So now I've said my piece, and maybe I shouldn't have gotten up, but there you go, I did. So,
Maybe Holly Hunter
Sean, here we go.
said my
to Sean.
piece and counted to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only caught a little bit of like the highlights of the thing because, the world's in a weird place and I just kind of have my ways of, staying level-headed through all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, forgiving someone that, assassinated your husband, I think is, like it's a good gesture. But, I think it's better to do that like authentically than to sell merchandise at a memorial service of, someone that was assassinated. There was, I think the intention was there, but it didn't come across authentic. But I think there's better ways of doing it. But I think aside from that, I think, forgiveness is, offers closure in a lot of respects, depending on the situation. And I think this, I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
No, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to stop.
That's good. That's fine.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
There's a cynical part of me that just needs to make a joke. Because I am exactly like every other pastor out there. There are parts of this job that I'm better at than others. Every pastor you've had has been better at one part of pastoring than another part. Some are great administrators, some are great preachers, some are great pastoral care, some are great paperwork, some are great at building community, some are great at outreach. Everybody's got their gifts. Everybody's got different levels of things. I really, over the years, feel like funerals are one of my strengths. Funerals and memorial service. I think I preach a good funeral. I really do. I feel like I do a pretty good job at that part of that part of this vocation. But the Charlie Kirk Memorial did remind me that maybe I don't have enough pyrotechnics. There were some fireworks that I thought that was a little cringy. Yes, Steve. But I don't want to take anything away from the experience of people who are grieving. I don't want to mock anybody.
For me, this has been really hard to watch all this happen, just because of a lot of things that the guy would say about people of color. You know, you didn't work for something, you were given it, you know, without taking into consideration that this educational system in this country is based on whether you live in a really high tax area where you can have the best schools. And they don't teach people of color in this country the same as they do white kids. And I know that just from experience and watching, you know, over the years. And then I look back and kind of go, I wasn't taught, I'm smart, but I wasn't taught the same stuff so that I could really develop more. I'm really good at spelling. Ask Dale, I'm really, really good at spelling, because we kept going over spelling over and over over and over and over and over again. But as far as math and all those other things, we were kept out without knowing. We didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, so sort of from that standpoint, I choose not to remember this guy. I'm sorry. I want to remember John McCain. He saved health care in this country. And I don't want to get too political, but that's who I want to remember. And he was a Republican, but he was a good person. And so I think some real basic things from Proverbs, you know, like, if you don't want certain things to happen to you, then don't do or say certain things to people, you know, because then there are consequences or whatever. Because, you know, if you want to live a long and prosperous life, then there's some little hints there.
Right, but I don't want this to be about Charlie Kirk or his widow. I just want this to be about the fact that forgiveness is in the news. But I get your point, and I agree with your points.
Yeah, there's still a lot of. I guess I'm in the process of forgiving, but a lot of people's lives have been turned upside down.
Yes.
You know, we just drove by a Catholic church in North Seattle up here, and I'm not sure there's a sign on the door. There used to be a lot of Latino people that would go to that Catholic church, and it's closed now. I want to go up and read to see what that sign on the door says, but I suspect it's because they might get raided, you know. There were hundreds of people that would go there, and they would have little stands outside even for food after the services and stuff. It's closed right now, so I don't know. And those are brown people, and when they're brown, that means that they're Native American. They're Native American people. And over and over and over and over, they keep getting run over. It just is so upsetting to me. It's hard to forgive. It's hard to forgive. You know, and this whole talk of we're Christians, so we are able to discern. Your discernment went out the door. Your credibility went out the door. I forgive that, I guess, you know. But it's hard, so.
All right, well, I'll make a preacher's confession here. And you'll hear this from more than just me. But an awful lot of the time that I'm preaching to me. And an awful lot of the time, if I start a series on forgiveness, it might be because forgiveness is something that's kicking my butt right now, right? Like, it's something that I'm struggling with and dealing with. And I would be lying if I stood up here and told you that I was really, really good at forgiveness. I would be lying if I said to you that I have nobody in my life that I haven't forgiven. There are people in my life right now who I'm not ready to forgive for one reason or another. And those reasons are valid, and they are real, and they are hurtful. And I am just not there yet. And I stand up here and I tell you, if there's a situation like that in your life and you're not ready to forgive, that's okay. That's part of the process. I'm saying that to you, and I'm saying that to me. Which brings me to another question. Let's get rhetorical and philosophical here. Are forgiveness and accountability mutually exclusive? Does forgiving somebody take away their accountability? Or can forgiveness have to happen in some situations, does forgiveness have to happen in conjunction with accountability?
I find it hard to forgive when I see so much injustice and nothing is being justified anymore. It's just, I really want to forgive, but I find it hard to do when I see daily injustices being done.
Agreed. Agreed.
So, in other Christian traditions, reconciliation is a sacrament. And there's a process. And it involves confession, both in terms of how you feel you've been wronged and how you've wronged other people. Because it's not an easy thing to reconcile two moral goods that are equally salient, but often diametrically opposed. You know, we have a need for justice in this world, right? And we have a need for forgiveness and for mercy. And so what I would ask is, how do you do that? When somebody embodies one moral good that you deeply believe in, which is the good of forgiveness, but also embodies a moral evil that you also agree, that you also, firmly disagree with. So what do you do in that situation? Where, and how do you engage in the sacrament of confession and absolution and all of the rest in that space?
Reconciliation as a sacrament. Good Catholic theology. Protestant theology, it's communion and baptism, and that's it. Catholic Church has 7. Used to be able to just stand here and rattle them off. I don't know that I can now.
I forgive you for that.
Received. Thank you.
I'm not sure if this query that I have has been enunciated in quite this way. I feel like we've talked around it. So I have well, more than one, people in my life that I really need to forgive. We probably all do. What if that person does not feel that they've done anything wrong, that they need to be forgiven. What do you do then? I mean, I feel like in some ways, and we talked a little bit about accountability, I feel like it's kind of a two-way street. And of course, I'm perfectly correct in my position, you know.
Of course. I know you well enough to know that.
But if anybody has thoughts on this particular question that I have, how do you forgive somebody that perhaps doesn't think or doesn't want your forgiveness? Do you walk away from that person? Do you walk away from that relationship? What if they're in the family? You know you're going to see them. And if anybody has thoughts on that, how do you deal with it? I sure would like to know.
Well, what if there is a...
And you're doing a great job of doing this.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
What if there is a kind of forgiveness that is mostly or even exclusively about protecting yourself? What if there is a kind of forgiveness that is all about self-care, and a kind of forgiveness that allows you to stop drinking the poison and paying the high cost of unforgiveness without ever letting somebody off the hook, without having to fix the relationship or make it right, but just a kind of forgiveness that says, this grudge, this old hurt, this wound that I am nursing, this scab that will not heal because I can't stop picking at it, it's time for me to let go of that. Everything else that happens, outside of my pay grade. But I got to stop doing this to myself. There is that kind of forgiveness, I think. And sometimes all you can do is have this sort of heart forgiveness, this forgiveness that happens in your heart and in your mind that places no expectations and no contingencies on what happens with the other person. I just let them go. Never could control them anyway. Not going to start now.
Seems like back in psychology class, they said to say, will you say what you feel? I feel this, I feel uncomfortable, or I feel, you tell them how you feel. And you can always say, if I feel this again when I'm around you, I won't be able to be around you. And just, I'd like to be able to get through past this, but this is my feelings, and it's in context with you, and these are the things you might justify what the things that they did that, brought you to that feeling, but anyway, that's...
I mean, there is such a thing as, maybe somebody harmed my dog, and I forgive them for harming my dog, but I'm not letting them around my dog ever again. That's a thing.
I think what I've started to do, and I'm going to do it more, is whenever somebody that I need to forgive comes to mind, and I can't really talk to them because it's beyond. Some situations are beyond. Maybe they don't want to forgive you, or it's going to cause more problems, or whatever. So whenever they come to mind, just say, I forgive you. I send you healing and light. And then leave it at that. Mm-hmm. And God hears that, I think. Oh, I know God hears it. And so hopefully over time, and there might not be in some situations there might not be a reconciliation where you can go up and hug somebody again or whatever, but at least you're doing your part to forgive in your prayer life, instead of when the picture of that person comes to your mind, you say blah, blah, send bad things. You just say, I forgive you and I send love and light to you. Just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that'll help.
I send you healing and light. I pray for your repentance. I pray that you would be held accountable.
I don't know if I even
But
say
yeah.
you're repentant, because they might, I mean, that's up to God, you know, I mean,
Right.
between them and God, so. Then I'm kind of like, in that point, I'm thinking that maybe I'm right. And maybe God really isn't interested in me being right.
Yeah, maybe God isn't all that interested in how right we are. Yeah. that is a legit concern. I like that. Maybe God's not all that interested in just how moral and upright and just we are, or at least as moral and upright and just as we think we are. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to let go and let God. But the title of this sermon was Forgiveness as a Lifestyle. I would like to be remembered as a pastor. I would like to be remembered as a guitar player. I would like to be remembered as a kind, loving, compassionate person. I would like to be remembered as a person with a warm, loving heart. How would you like to be remembered in terms of forgiveness? Would you like to be remembered as a person who offered forgiveness so well and navigated tough situations that were tough to forgive, but navigated it so well that people who remember you look up to your wisdom and your emotional intelligence and your skill set in being able to bring peace out of a really rocky, difficult situation? Isn't that how you'd like to be remembered? Sure, how I'd like to be remembered. I would like to be remembered not just as a person who has done some forgiving, but I'd like to be remembered as a forgiving person. I feel like there's a difference, right? I wasn't playing at it. I was serious about it. I'm a person who embodies what it is to forgive. That's how I'd like to be remembered, and that's how I try to live my life. And I fail at it spectacularly sometimes. And I think we all do. I will crash and burn in the forgiveness department once in a while. We all will, but that is how I would like to be remembered. I'd like to be remembered as a person that somebody looked up to as a role model for how to reconcile a conflict and offer forgiveness when it was tough to do so. I'd like to be remembered as that kind of person. But doggone it, just like playing the guitar, it takes work. It takes discipline. It's not easy. There's a price you pay for learning to forgive. There's a price you pay for learning to manage conflict. There's a price that you pay. It takes risk. It is not something that you just sort of will yourself into. But gosh, wouldn't you like to be remembered as a person with such a good heart? I know I would. I don't know that I would be if I died tomorrow, but I'm working at it. I'm working on it. I hope we're all working on it. Hope we're all working on being remembered positively as somebody who would be a role model for what it is to live a moral and ethical and loving and compassionate life. Despite my flaws and ridiculousness. I think there's something to be said for striving to live a life where grace flows to you, grace flows through you, and grace flows from you. That I put myself in the stream of God's grace, in the river of God's grace. Put myself in that river and let it wash over me, and let it flow through me, and let it flow from me. It's a good goal. It's a lofty goal. It's not an easy goal to achieve. But I think with God's help, we can do that. Speaking of funerals, I heard a really good joke that's not really a joke. It was a piece of advice. It says, try to live your life in such a way that your pastor won't have to lie at your funeral. Try to live your life in such a way that the pastor doesn't have to lie about what a great person you were. Right? Try to live your life in such a way that when people talk about how great you were, that they're telling the truth. And when people talk about how kind and loving and compassionate you were, that they're telling the truth. That when people talk about how forgiving you were, you're telling the truth. Because forgiveness is not just for the person who was offended and the person who committed the offense. Forgiveness can be really great for that relationship, but forgiveness is also good for the community. If I got into a conflict with Dale, me and Dale just butted heads about something. We just could not get along about something, and we were just constantly at each other's throats. What does that do to the church? What does that do to this congregation? It would paint both of us as a couple of butt heads, right? Like, we wind up in a conflict that neither one of us is making an effort to resolve, and that hurts the community. It harms the community. But if we put forgiveness into the equation, if we factor forgiveness into the equation, we factor grace into the equation, it's healing for the community. So regardless of whether we thought Erica Kirk's proclamation of forgiveness was genuine and sincere and beautiful, or whether we thought it was performative, or whether we thought it was somewhere in between, maybe we think of it as aspirational. Maybe she said it because she knows that she needs to get there. Or maybe she said it because she knows the community needs to get there. Who knows? We don't know her heart. We don't know her mind. What we do know is the forgiveness is in the news, and it's worth reflecting on. And it's worth putting some of our effort into. Because with God's help, we can be transformed into people who will be remembered for being kind and gracious and compassionate. And when they looked in our eyes, maybe they saw a little bit of Jesus. When they looked in our eyes, maybe they saw a little bit of God. When they looked into our eyes, maybe they saw a little bit of love. And I think that's a lifestyle worth trying to live. Don't you? All right, well, this wraps up our sermon series on forgiveness. It was just an interesting piece of serendipity that forgiveness would be in the news the week that I'm wrapping this up. So neat. But as we reflect on forgiveness, and we reflect on the places we ourselves have fallen short, the places where others have fallen short, we lift up our prayer requests, our concerns, our joys, wonderful stuff and difficult stuff. Are there things to lift up this morning? Let's hear from you, Lynn, And then I see Soren's hand.
Just a nice, I called my uncle the other day, lives in Enumclaw. It was nice to speak to him. He's going to be turning 95 on December 30th, so we had a nice half-hour talk, and he's kind of suffering with heart problems, but that's understandable at that age. But sounded good. Sounds like he's with it, you know, and it was just very pleasant conversation.
95.
95.
Wow. I hope I make it to 95 if it doesn't hurt too much.
God in your love and grace.
Hear our prayers. Yeah, absolutely.
Forgiveness? Can we lift up forgiveness?
Let us lift up forgiveness, that we would understand it better, that we would embody it better, and that we would value it. Yeah, God in your love and grace, hear our prayers.
I don't know if you guys know, but the government might shut down, and if that does happen, the consequences of that could be very dire. I hope that we can all pull through that if that happens, and the things that need to be preserved, that give us strength and courage and community, are reserved, and things that maybe don't need to be there can. I don't know. I just worry about that. I'm traveling to Denver. I'm hoping that my flights won't be canceled because of it. So that's another thing.
God in your love and grace, hear our prayers. Tom Yeager. Oh.
I was closer. We'll get it there. I want to remember that Joy Shree, our member of our community, is in Rwanda right now at a medical mission hospice situation, and it's very close to where Ebola is. Yeah. There's an outbreak in Congo, and the resources to deal with it are lacking. So, Joy Shree.
God in your love and grace, hear our prayer. And I wasn't interrupting. We had this conversation earlier this morning. I just remembered the word. Yeah.
I always looked for something to be thankful for, and this week's is that the gray wolves are now back at the zoo.
Yay!
We have
We've been restricted to pretty good
we have Mexican gray wolves,
yeah.
And they're actually gray this time. But I actually give thanks for that. God, in your love and grace,
hear our prayers. Yes. And if you're curious, you can look up I think it's on YouTube. There's a video called How Wolves Change Rivers, and how reintroducing wolves to a national park actually improved the environment and brought a river back to life. It was really an interesting documentary. Who's next? Yeah.
Mine's kind of a thankfulness. My younger brother has suffered with a mitral valve prolapse for the last 44 years. And he had a procedure on Friday, and he's scheduling surgery to have his valve repaired next week. So prayers for my brother Bruce and his wife Linda.
God in your love and grace, hear our prayers.
Prayers for my dad, who's got some kind of cyst or infection that is having it treated in his cheek or jaw area. He's just been in a lot of pain the last couple of days, so the prayers that heals, and also continue prayer my procedure that's coming up on Friday, that I'll have peace about that and that it goes well.
God in your love and grace, hear our prayers. Well, let's go straight into singing the disciples' prayer this morning. We have prayed together. We have lifted up some prayers.
Is that the Lord's Prayer?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never heard it called that.
Yeah, I kind of like calling it the disciples' prayer. It was a gift from Jesus to the disciples. It was theirs.
Creator in heaven, holy is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Save us from the time of trial, and deliver us from evil. For the kingdom and the power and the glory are yours forever. For the kingdom and the power and the glory are yours forever. Forever and ever. Creator in heaven, holy is your name.
All right. Well, offering plates in the back of the sanctuary. Online giving is always available. Mailing something to the church, bringing something to the church, however you choose to give. I don't care how you give. That doesn't matter. What does matter is that you do give and that your ongoing support keeps us in mission and ministry right here in this community. With God's help, your offerings, your tithes, all of the contributions that you make to the church with your time and your talent and your treasure, it all makes a difference. Just being here makes a difference this morning. So thank you for everything that you offer. Are there announcements that need to be shared? All right, Corrine is coming to the front of the sanctuary for heaven knows what.
Yes. Oh, I don't have a microphone, so I'm talking very loudly, so I can be picked up here. Oh, okay.
Here it comes.
Here with me. Oh, and, yes, she is with me. We're walking up together. That's so good. So, I was considering doing it pretty good today, huh? That as you enter into this next month, I could have brought a box of candies, could have, didn't. Could have brought chrysanthemums, could have, didn't. But I think a good thing to say is good Sabbath.
Thank you.
Yes, there you go. Good Sabbath as you continue into the next month. And we will look forward to November upon your return.
All right.
Now
Thank you.
I can say shalom. Another thing to say that's befitting. What else can come to my mind? A hug. There you go. Good and faithful servant. Rest.
Thank you. So somebody sign up for food for next week. Joy, do you have something?
Cantare Amantes, our singing group, has a fall concert coming up October 26th. Is that right? Am I getting the day right? 2:30 in the afternoon, and I believe the details are in the bulletin and maybe posted as well. I'm not sure if we've got a physical poster. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know if we have a physical poster, but it's been in the bulletin at least the last week or two. So.
Awesome. Well, let's sing our way out of the service.
Yeah.
We'll skip the benediction and we'll just sing this as the benediction. Joy in the morning. Would you stand as you are comfortably able and join us in singing Joy in the Morning, one of my favorites in the hymnal.
There'll be joy in the morning on that day. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. For the daylight will dawn when the darkness is gone. There'll be joy in the morning on that day. There'll be peace and contentment evermore. There'll be peace and contentment evermore. Every heart, every voice on that day will rejoice. There'll be peace and contentment evermore. There'll be love and forgiveness everywhere. There'll be love and forgiveness everywhere. And the way of God will that day be restored. There'll be love and forgiveness everywhere.